Class is in session, going over another chapter of Atomic Attraction. This one focuses on anxiety. Anxiety fuels attraction, and that is true. And I'm going to go over some of my own feelings on this. Um, anyway, women are more attracted to men who put them in a fearful and anxious state. Yes, and that comes from the archives of sexual behavior. Um, According to a study published in the Journal of Psychological Science titled He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not, uncertainty can increase romantic attraction. Anxiety has been shown to increase a woman's attraction for a man. These days, it is often more beneficial for a man to bring anxiety and uncertainty to a relationship than to bring a feeling of safety and security. Women do not enjoy being thrust into a state of anxiety, but results are what counts here. And research shows women have a heightened amount of attraction for men when they feel anxious. It is not our concern whether it is whether it is unethical or immoral. It is simply a matter of knowing what women respond to and what actions get results. Women don't respond to safety and security. So, and I can hear a little bit of like sometimes people like, as guys, we like to be nice to women. We love them. And it's like, well, why do we have to make them anxious and make them feel scared? It's almost like we need to make them feel, a bit, fearful, right? But I'll say it like this, you have, the opposite, and it comes from the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference, right? And women, when they feel indifferent, and any man that has lost a relationship knows the feeling when his woman is checking out on him, she becomes very indifferent. And, you could basically be bleeding out in front of her and she's not going to care. She's just indifferent to your feelings, right? The woman that, would be responsive to your problems or responsive to your feelings, or, she would notice that you're, in a bad mood or, upset. She would, when she cared about you and loved you, she'd be like, what's going on? If you go to a point where she's indifferent of you and she hears you like, and I've experienced this myself, and it's almost, when you experience it, it's very, it's very impactful because you're like, wow, this person who gave a damn about me now is indifferent to, how I feel. She doesn't care if I'm upset. She doesn't care and that's why when you get to those points in a relationship with a woman, it's done. We call it checked out, right? So the anxiety feeling is a woman giving a damn, right? When a woman, and that's any of us, right? If you have a big soccer match, or if you're a musician, you got a big gig, or you got a big concert, or you're a singer and you got a big show coming up, or if you're an auctioneer and you've got, or not, you're in an auction and you've got something that you value in that auction and you want to bring a certain amount of money, you become anxious. Why? Because you care about the outcome, right? So if a woman doesn't care about the outcome of you and her, there is no anxiety. So the point is that it's not so much the anxiety, it's the fact that she gives a damn about what happens to you. She gives a damn about, having you in a relationship with her, or, being part of your life. So in essence, there is no unethicalness, there is no immorality that can happen here, because the woman has to give a damn to be anxious. Otherwise, she's going to be indifferent. So this is not, and I talk about a lot of times in this stuff, is it's not a gimmick. You just got to be the person, you got to be the game, right? You'll hear guys go, well, how long, it's all about game. I don't want to play games. How long do I got to play the game? No, you are the game. The game is you. The game is life, right? And you got to become this person that is valuable enough for women to fear to lose. So now they become anxious of their behavior around you. They become anxious that you're going to leave them. They become anxious because you are valuable. So in essence, I think this chapter misses it just a little bit. It's right on its definitions, but it's because the woman, the underlying, theme or the underlying working process here is that the woman has to give a damn whether you are there or not. Because if she doesn't, there is no anxiety. Because a lot of guys will be like, well, how do I create that anxiety? How do I do that? And a lot of guys want the 1-2 punch method. If you jump up and down 5 times and then pat your head, they want the trick. There is no tricks to any of this. Then that's a lot of times, in the dating space and these dating coaches and stuff like that, they love to give tricks because that's how they make money. Here's a trick. Here's a trick to make her miss you. Here's a trick. 5, I remember back in the day, 5 texts to make her obsessed with you. That's all BS, But anyway, let's see, with happiness and loyalty and attention in reality, that we think that safety and security will bring with it happiness, loyalty, and attention. In reality, when women feel safe and secure, they are more likely to pull away. So here's the thing, though. When a woman feels safe and secure, it's like she's bored, and it's almost like she's like, yeah, I don't care if he leaves or he won't leave. When a woman really likes a guy and there's nothing you can do about it, right? I've had women that really like me, and they feel anxious. They think that, women have been in your house, throwing their shit away or something. Like, why is this over here? There's someone, they go nutball because they're so, women, when they really value you and who you are, they know how important you are to them. They value the way, and again, once I say, you can't make a woman, women can't love you. They love the way you make them feel. So they fear losing your presence. They fear losing the way you make them feel. And if they really, really like you, they love the way you make them feel when they're in your presence. And so they get so anxious that, they start seeing, just like deer that are, live in the wild, right? Every sound, they got to be careful. What is that? When you're really fearful, you become heightened. You become, on a high alert, right? Because you don't want to, lose your life, right? So anyway, so safety and security is more of, she doesn't care if you go, you can go. You always, and again, to have successful relationships, I always say, and people don't like it, is both people should be very fearful that person that you're with is going to leave you, within 5 seconds if you don't act right. And I definitely feel that that's how important someone should be to you, Now, you don't have to live in this, ultra state of fear, but, and it's a bit exaggerated, but to that end, yes, you need to be fearful that the person that you're with would leave you if you're not acting right. They are more likely to pull away and get bored and lose interest. To grab a woman's attention, you must first give the impression that a relationship is the last thing on your mind. Well, if you're living right as a man, you want freedom. It should be the last thing on your mind. So again, part of the game is, yeah, that's how I live. I am the game. So when I go through life, I'm not looking for relationships. Now, if a woman comes into my life and she's awesome, yes, we're going to be interacting. But a relationship with this person is the last thing I'm thinking of. And the fact of, if I'm going about my life living in a productive way, an ambitious way, and an attractive way, she will want to be with me, right? And so I am the game, right? All right. If a woman has to fight to be in a relationship with you, correct. So if you're valuable and you have options, and she knows you have options, she's going to fight to be with you. Once again, you are the game. None of these are gimmicks. The life you're living is one that many women would like to be around. The life you're living, the attractiveness that you are physically, the attractiveness that you are mentally, the ambition and the goal-driven attitude that you have is very unique. And so that women are going to fight to be with a man like that, right? To fight to be in a relationship with you, she will be willing, she will be you even more irresistible. She will find you even more irresistible. Correct. Well, that's because you're scarce, right? And charming. Numerous psychological studies show that objects and people are perceived to be, and this goes to the scarcity, more desirable and attractive when in limited supply, correct. And that goes back to like celebrities, like Lionel Messi. He's one of the best players in the world. You're only going to be able to find him, at certain spots, and a lot of people want to see him. And so he's not that. You can't just call Messi up and have him come over and play soccer with your buddies. He's in limited supply, so he's valuable. I mean, I know in Houston, I had season tickets. The tickets that when his team Miami comes to Houston, they go up $200 because he's in limited supply. All right, this is the same reason why people love diamonds as a mineral. It's perceived to have limited availability, right? And this has been back when I was in, I think it's 8th grade earth science, my teacher even told me then, they limit the supply on purpose. There's like huge warehouses of diamonds that they only allow, certain amounts to come out so that people do think it's like a big scam business. De Beers is the company. They hold on to the supply. If diamonds were in abundance, people would no longer spend thousands of dollars and just being perceived as limited, right, to acquire them. If you actively seek a relationship and try to make a woman feel safe and secure, you send the signal that your love has little value because it is easily acquired. You instill neither anxiety or scarcity. And as a romantic prospect, right? So, if you want safety and security, then your love is too easy to get as a romantic prospect, because in that if you want to have a woman, oh, I'll never leave you, I'm safe and secure here, then your value as a person is great, or your love is valued as being greatly diminished as a commodity to a certain degree, if it were a commodity. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's anything in life, right? So, but again, it's part of being in the game, right? And it's part of knowing what women value, because if you're what women value and you live that life every day, none of this is gimmicky. There's going to be women that find you valuable, right? And so that's why all this stuff, no gimmicks, learn how to be attractive. The more women will want you, the more options that you have, the more limited that you'll be. And just, you got to be part of the game. There is no playing games. There are no tricks. It's all about becoming more attractive. And that's what we're doing in this book, Atomic Attraction. All right, we'll see you on the next one.